Good morning. I am so excited to be here with all of you. I was texting with Anthony last night and said, I told everybody on the subway that I get to be here this morning. So, I'm Sam, and it is so good to see all of you. I am an avid reader. If you ask me for a fun fact about myself, whether it's fun or not, I don't know, but I will tell you that I like to read. And when I open the page of a new book or hit play on the audio, I get so excited. And even better than that is when you've read a book that sticks with you for days, for weeks, for years. And one of those books for me is called Pew by Catherine Lacey. Have any of you read that one? Okay, I promise I won't spoil it. So here's the premise, and I'm not going to give anything away. It is set in a town in the American South, and a church congregation arrives for a service and finds a person asleep on a pew. One family takes in this strange visitor who's genderless, racially ambiguous, and refuses to speak, and nicknames them Pew. And Pew is shuffled from one household to the next. And the earnest and seemingly well-meaning townspeople see conflicting identities in Pew. And many confess their fears and secrets to this person in one-sided conversations. Pew listens and observes while experiencing brief flashes of past lives or clues about their own origin. All the while, the people of the church and the town are growing suspicious of this person. And then there's a really shocking ending to the story, and I'm not going to say it right now, but if you ask me later and you really want to know, I'll tell you. This story is one that fascinates me. It's a story of how this group of ordinary church people interact with the stranger who just shows up one day. It tells them a lot about their own identity, and it's a story about how they wrestle with the identity of Pew. And today's scripture is also a question of identity. Everyone is wondering who this Jesus guy really is. They're speculating. Some are growing in their support of him. Others are growing in their weariness. And Jesus just asks them directly. First, he asks, who do people say the Son of Man is? And he's asking, what are people thinking about the Messiah? Maybe he's referring to himself. Maybe he's referring to what people are just saying in general. And the response is, well, some people say John the Baptist, some people say a prophet, maybe someone else, we don't know exactly. And so then Jesus gets really specific. He says, so who do you say that I am? And Simon Peter is this disciple who seems to always speak and act first and then reflect and think a little bit later. Gives the most perfect and honest answer he could have in the moment. He tells Jesus, you are the Messiah, and you are the Son of God. By saying Messiah, he's the one who's referring to flipping the existing power structures on their heads, saying that the way that the power is divided in the Roman Empire by gender, by nationality, will be changed. And he also reminds Jesus of his identity as God's son. That Jesus, who is getting to be so well known that people are debating on who he is, gets a beautiful reminder of who he really is as a child of God. In return, Jesus then tells Peter who he is. He tells him that his bravery, his honesty, and his steadfastness will be the foundation of the church, and that this foundation will be solid on Peter's influence and that it will last for at least about 2,000 years, because here we are right now. And so for me, this passage is asking 4 specific questions. First, it's asking, who is Jesus? Second, who am I? Third, who are you? And the last one, who are we together? So we're going to dive in with these 4 questions. And the first one, who is Jesus? My answer is love. That's the whole sermon. You can all go home now. Just kidding. But really, in one of the interviews here, the members of the search committee asked me, who is Jesus to you? And I thought about it, and I came up with the answer of love. And I told the committee, this is one that I'm going to think about when I go home and have to decide, is this really where I'm landing? And without the pressure of an interview, but the pressure of standing in front of all of you, I will say my final answer is love. When Peter tells Jesus he is the Messiah and the Son of God, it's true. And boiled all the way down to the essence of who Jesus Christ is, I believe Jesus is love. The church I grew up in Texas was very different from this one in many, many ways. However, it is the place where, looking back, I learned this foundational answer of Jesus being love. I learned that Jesus welcomed the children. I learned that Jesus stood on the side of the oppressed and the marginalized. And I learned that Jesus helped people who were so different from himself that it made people question what was his real agenda. However, in that same church, I was also taught that women, that the LGBTQ+ community and other marginalized groups had little to no room there. So, as I was learning that my passion as a young woman was preaching, I found that my courage came from knowing the foundation of my faith was God's love. Love was the ethic that I had been taught in that same church, at home, with my parents, in seminary, and the ethic I knew that I would try to lead with as a pastor every day. Jesus is love, and that's the bottom line and foundation of the church. It's why we're all here. And Jesus' love shows up as justice, as peace, as reconciliation, as kindness, and so much more. So that's the answer to my first question. Who is Jesus? Love. Now we ask, who am I? So I'm not going to give you an entire biography this morning, but I will hit some of the highlights. So to start off kind of broadly, I'm a mom to Xander, who I've heard chitter-chattering back there. He's going to be 17 months this week. I'm a wife to my husband, Luke. He's my best friend, and we've been married for 7.5 years. I'm a daughter to some pretty amazing parents, a granddaughter, a sister, a sister-in-law, a daughter-in-law. I'm a dog mom to Indy, who's a 7-year-old mini golden doodle, and Annie, a 5-year-old Aussie doodle. I'm a pastor, ordained in 2024 in the United Church of Christ. I'm a former Southern Baptist and Texas Baptist, and that distinction is one I'd love to tell you about over coffee while you yawn and say, okay, can we move on to the next topic? And former United Methodist. I'm a student working on my doctorate of ministry at Chicago Theological Seminary, beginning the phase where I start my research on infertility and spirituality, which is a part of the story of how we got Xander. And I'm a reader, which I've already told you. I am also a lover of trashy reality TV. And there's a lot more to me, right? We all have these layers. One of the things I am not is a big movie person. So I have ADHD and I don't often sit through an entire movie all at once. But one of the movies that I was able to sit through and loved so much was the Barbie movie. I really enjoyed that one. And I bring this up in this conversation about identity because Barbie was supposed to be this quintessential idea of what it meant to be a woman. She was supposed to have it all figured out, have it all together. And America Ferrera's character is talking to Barbie, who's in the middle of this crisis. And I'm going to quote part of this monologue. "It's literally impossible to be a woman. You are so beautiful and so smart, and it kills me that you don't think you're good enough. Like we have to always be extraordinary, but somehow we're always doing it wrong. We always have to be grateful. We have to find a way to acknowledge that the system is rigged, but also always be grateful. You have to never get old, never be rude, never show off, never be selfish, never fall down, never fail, never show fear, never get out of line. It's too hard. I'm just so tired of watching myself and every single other woman tie herself into knots so that people will like us." The first time I saw this and watched this, I think it was on TikTok, which convinced me to watch the full movie. I just thought, wow. It's so true about what people expect of us in society. And I want to acknowledge that, of course, men feel these same pressures and complexities and crises of identity. And also this monologue just really captures the nuances of the experiences of many women. So when I'm asked, who am I? I'm all of the things I listed, and quite simply, I am a child of God. And it's something I remind myself, or try to remind myself of daily. It means that I cannot control everything, which is something I have to practice every day. And it means that the expectation from the creator of the whole entire universe is that I just show up exactly as I am, with all the complexities and nuances. It means that if I show up and there's a piece of food in my teeth, it means I at least ate, and also please tell me so I can take care of it. It means that we show up every day, on our best days, on our hardest days, on our days where we're filled with joy, on our days where we are filled with grief. And all this to say, I hope to show up as authentically as myself as I can every day. So we answered, who is Jesus? Who am I? Or at least, who am I and how am I trying to show up in the world each day? And now, who are you? This is the part where everybody's going to stand up and give me a biography. I'm just kidding. I did look up Darien in Wikipedia. And here's what Wikipedia had to say. Darien is a coastal town in Fairfield County, Connecticut, United States. It is the smallest town on Connecticut's Gold Coast. According to the United States Census Bureau, the town has a total area of 14.8 square miles, of which 12.9 square miles is land, and about 2.0 square miles is water. How many of you already knew that? See, already teaching you something about your own town. And a lot of you told me about the library last week, and so the library was mentioned in Wikipedia. It was founded in 1894, and in 2012, the Darien Library was the most heavily utilized library in Connecticut. Maybe we can shoot for that again, 2026, 2027. So maybe this doesn't capture who all of you are, but I went to the church website because I wanted to make sure, okay, I'm talking to this church. Who are they really? And on the What You Believe page, it says this: "We believe that God is greater and more mysterious than we could ever fully know, farther from us than the most distant star, and yet nearer to us than our next breath. That the opposite of faith in God is not doubt, but certainty. That asking questions can be a form of prayer. That none of us have all the answers, and that wonder and awe belong at the heart of the Christian life." The part that stuck out to me the most was that we believe that the opposite of faith in God is not doubt, but certainty. That asking questions can be a form of prayer. Growing up, I had a lot of questions. Sometimes they were welcomed at my church, and sometimes I think my Sunday school teachers wished I would have gone and asked somebody else. In the church I grew up in, the people there loved Jesus so fiercely. And also, they held on to some of the beliefs about God and the Bible and the world that I've since let go of long ago. But this story, I was in the 7th grade, and we would split up, boys and girls, and so I was with other girls my age that I'd been going to church with since we were little. And we were going over the story of Adam and Eve in Genesis, when Eve ate the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And then Adam ate some too. And after they did this, they realized they were naked and became ashamed. And the wheels in my 7th grade brain were turning. And I realized, you're telling me that life could have been different? So I raised my hand and waited to be called on. And I asked with all the fury and fire growing in my soul at this injustice, so you're telling me that if they hadn't eaten that one lousy apple, we'd all be running around naked and happy? And of course we all ended up laughing because I said naked in Sunday school. However, this was a pivotal moment in my faith development. My teachers, they were doing the best they could with the information they had and the ways that they were raised. But my questions were being quietly shut down. Why? It made them uncomfortable. In their eyes and in the eyes of so many, being a good Christian or a good whatever it is means never questioning the authority around you. And I tell you all of this because here I sense something different. You are all special because it is a gift to this world to embrace the questions and curiosities and doubts that come with trying to figure out who you are in the world, who God is, and how to interact with everyone. And I may not know each of you and your stories quite yet, and I am looking forward to potentially having those moments with each of you. I do know that you are special, that you are doing the good work of faith formation in your kids and your teens with each other, and doing the good work of engaging with the community of Darien. And I'm so excited about the potential of coming together for this work. And so now we have one more question. Who are we? Well, part of that is we don't know yet, because we have who knows how long together in the future to figure out what that looks like. But what I see that could connect us all is a curiosity, a willingness to learn, a desire to be connected to one another and to the community. And that God is inviting us into this connection, into this community. And we get to be with one another at the weddings and baptisms, at the funerals, in the joy of life, and in the deepest moments of grief. And it's in those seasons, in those moments together, that we get to learn about who we are, who the people next to you are, who you are individually, and who Jesus is. So we've asked these questions: who is Jesus? Love. Who am I? Sam Bronson. I'm just trying my best. Who are you? People unafraid of curiosity. And who are you, or who are we together? TBD, to be determined. But if there's one answer that could be applied to every single question I asked, it would be that we are all children of the God of the universe. That we are all standing together as siblings at the intersections of life and faith, of knowing and unknowing. That we get to face the big things, the small things, the hard things, the fun things together, when the world is trying to tell us who we're supposed to be. We get to rest in the knowledge that we are all children of God. Amen.